You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. One of the biggest surprises so far of fall camp for LSU has been cornerback Colby Richardson. And it was one of those deals where this happens. This is very common. When you go out to a practice, the sports information staff often has rosters printed to hand the media as you're walking in because you have a lot of new players and there's just a lot of times you're just not familiar with who's who and what jersey number. So sometimes it takes a couple of days to get out there and familiarize yourself with who is wearing what number and the roster. And sometimes when you're looking at a unit, like when say like the full defense is on the field, you'll know if you're looking at first team, the second team, whatever, based on uniform numbers you recognize. With this team, it's very obvious with the defensive line. Like if you see 0 on the field and 11 and 18 and 99, like, okay, that's all the starting defensive line. This is your first unit. So it's interesting, as we've been out there at practice, we've seen a lot of 22 with that first unit. 24 is Jark Bernard-Converse, and he's going to be one of the starters. That much I am completely confident in saying. 24 is out there every time with the ones. He's going to be one of the starters. The question is who's going to be on the other side. And we keep seeing 22 run out there, along with Seven Banks, who's wearing number 1, and Mekhi Gardner, who's wearing number 2. And I remember grabbing the roster and flipping it over and going, 22, and I'm going, Colby Richardson, transfer from McNeese? Y'all, to tell you how far out of mind Colby Richardson was, Colby Richardson was a guest on AFR at the beginning of June when he announced his transfer. I did not remember him having him as a guest on the show. I sent Muso a text today. I said, hey, go find the Colby Richardson interview from June. Please get some sound bites from it that I want to bring back today. He goes, we interviewed him on the show? Clearly didn't make a giant impression. No disrespect intended. Went back and listened to the interview today. He did a wonderful job. Just when you do a lot of interviews, sometimes things stand out, sometimes some don't. Completely forgot. We've talked so much about Jark Bernard-Converse and Seven Banks and Mekhi Gardner. We didn't talk about this kid at all. I call him a kid. He's probably the oldest guy on the team, actually. He's a 6th-year senior. He's in the same classification as Miles Brennan would have been on this team. And I can't really blame myself because last week after practice, when Brian Kelly, the head coach of the football team, was talking about his secondary, he mentioned Colby Richardson, although he didn't call him Colby Richardson.
Cody Dickerson, coming in.
Usually not great when the head coach doesn't know your name. I remember Les Miles sort of infamously at a press conference one time couldn't remember tight end Nick Jacobs' name. So at the podium, he just kept going, Nick. He just couldn't find his last name. Not a great thing. And Nick Jacobs actually went on and played in the NFL and was a really good-looking athlete and all, but it's usually not good when the head coach doesn't know your name. This is the opposite of that. For what it's worth, Brian Kelly also, after the spring game, had trouble with his tight end as well.
I like Kobe Taylor today.
Kobe Taylor, not on the team. Colby Fields, transfer from South Carolina. Cole Taylor, a tight end. Kobe Taylor, not a player on the team. But, again, Brian Kelly is still getting to know his team. I'm poking fun intentionally, not being serious. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to get another coach to hate me. I'm just making a point. But his play, Richardson's play, has been, at this point, undeniable. He has earned all of these first-team reps that he has gotten, and very well could end up playing a significant role on this defense because he has been so far that good that he has really forced his way into this rotation. Richardson is, by the way, 24 years old. 24 years old. Y'all, Derek Stingley will be 24 when he finishes his third year in the NFL. For some context, okay? Marshawn Lattimore, who's been in the NFL since 2017, Marshawn Lattimore is going into his sixth NFL season, is 26 years old. He's only 2 years older than this guy. When Richardson was on AFR back in June, I did talk to him about his decision to pick LSU and sort of how the turnover in that secondary influenced him because he was a Colorado State commit. I mean, McNeese, y'all. He's at McNeese. Battled a lot of injuries, finally got a chance to play a year ago, was transferring out, was committed to Colorado State, and then Frank Wilson swooped in.
It's just a natural competitiveness in me. I'm actually not worrying about who all there. I mean, I just feel as we all can learn from each other. I feel as the guys there are going to make a highly impact, and I just think that adding me to that secondary to make that secondary that everyone remember of LSU, which is DBU. So when, I got the call, I would say that was a thought process, but I guess by me being so competitive in life and everything I do, I feel so much comfortable in my game to go out there to compete with the best.
He also talked about the opportunity to represent LSU was a dream come true, which I think we all could understand why that is something that he very much covets. I also asked him if he's more comfortable inside or out, because right now he's playing on the outside.
I would say outside I'm most comfortable, but I would say I'm a versatile player. I played mostly every position on the field throughout my high school, throughout my life in football. So I just feel as my athleticism can put me anywhere on the field, and I just love the game of football so much to the point that no matter what's my job, no matter what's my assignment, I'm going to go out there and do it at 100% with championship effort.
Said he is all about playing special teams as well. Anything he could do to get on the field to help LSU win and bring LSU back to a championship. You have a guy there that the opportunity is not lost on him. A guy from New Orleans who didn't have offers, who went to McNeese, who was there in 2017, battled injury, had the COVID season where they ended up playing in the spring, and is now, as a 24-year-old, sixth-year senior at LSU, having over his previous 5 seasons started just 21 times. Now he's in the mix very much as a guy. And I'm going to tell you the other thing that has me optimistic about this secondary. And I know they've had so much turnover. And I'm the one who said so many times, you are not better with your current group than you would have been with Ricks and McLaughlin. And I would still stand by that. I think those guys have a higher ceiling, undeniably. Those guys are going to be more highly drafted than any of these guys in LSU's team right now. But, Richardson's 24 years old. He's a 6th-year player. Jark Bernard-Converse started 47 games. He's a 5th-year player. 23 years old. Mekhi Gardner. He went JUCO in 2018, played 3 years at ULL, where he started 16 times. He's now a 5th-year player. Sevyn Banks played in 36 games at Ohio State, made 15 starts, battled injuries, but again, 5th-year player, 23 years old. Jark Bernard-Converse, 47 games started consecutively at Oklahoma State, 23 years old, 5th-year player. My point is, you got men. These are 23 and 24-year-old men. How different were you at 18 and at 23, 24? That's what you have here. You have dudes that have been 5, 6 years in the college strength programs that physically are men compared to 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Now, Kayshon Boutte is a problem for anybody. I don't care who you are. Like Jamar Chase took a year off of football, went to the NFL, and wrecked stuff because he's a freak. So is Kayshon Boutte. And we'll see if this secondary can cover another team's best guy, a guy that's going to be an NFL guy. But not everybody has Kayshon Boutte. Not everybody has Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. I like this group. The people ask me all the time, what's your big takeaway? How do you feel about this team? Has it changed at all watching them practice? The one big takeaway, I'll tell you, the one thing where I have changed, I am bullish on this. I've become bullish on this LSU defense. The LSU offensive line has not been able to block LSU's interior defensive line because I think they're that good. I think when Micah Baskerville is running as your third linebacker and he's the best, most experienced linebacker you have, that shows you have a lot of confidence in the dudes ahead of him. And I just ran through all the experience you have in the secondary. Again, they haven't played together, but you hope in this instance the sum of the parts becomes as great as the whole when they all start playing together and pulling in the same direction. That's the one big takeaway I have, is you have a defense that is talented, experienced, that needs to come together. And if they all pull in the same direction, can be really, really good. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.